We are back for another episode of the Walk On Redshirts. We're happy to have you guys. No guests this week, no special guests. You just have to listen to our two idiotic voices, unfortunately. But
We're pretty special, Jake.
Yeah, we're special in our own way.
That's right.
Own way.
That's right.
We are down to, I think when this podcast comes out, we'll be down to 10 days till college football's back. Because we do believe in week 0 here.
Who's the best number 10 of all time? Is it Vince Young?
See, okay, so when 10 comes to my mind, I just think of Troy Smith.
Vince Young.
I'm not really good at remembering, like, unless you're like an absolute superstar, like Reggie Bush. I'm not the best at remembering your jersey number.
He's 10 divided by 2. Co Simpson, shout out to Co Simpson. We're going deep South Carolina lore. There's a lot of good number 10s out there.
I'm sure there are tons of good number 10s. I'm sure there's number 10s that have won plenty of awards. I'm just not good at remembering them.
Speaking of number 5s with Reggie Bush, I just found out something really cool. So I posted a highlight of LaDainian Tomlinson, like trying to figure out how the heck the dude ended up at a G5 school. Yes, I know TCU is Power 5 now, but he ended up at Mountain West TCU. Did you know that he played linebacker as a sophomore, fullback as a junior, and then played running back as a senior in high school and ran for 2,500 yards. Then chose TCU over Baylor, UTEP, and Kansas State because his mother landed a job in nearby Dallas. I didn't know that. And I also found out from Kansas State fans that he fell asleep during his meeting with Bill Snyder. And I told the Kansas State fans, y'all should have woken him up. Y'all should have woken him up. If he fell asleep in that meeting.
Should have took him anyways.
Should have woken him up.
Should have took him anyways. He obviously, I mean, he's one of the all-time absolute great running backs in college football history.
In college and in NFL. I mean, he's
NFL, yeah.
The iconic dark visor. I mean, he's the one who made visors freaking cool.
Everybody wanted a dark visor because of LaDainian Tomlinson.
Absolutely.
Everybody thought it was cool. And then people wanted it in like other sports too. You saw baseball players wearing like dark sunglasses. You saw people wearing basically dark shade in any way they could.
I wish we would have seen basketball players wearing some sort of dark shade over their eyes. That would have been pretty funny.
You got LeBron wearing the Batman mask at one point.
That's true. We should have had, they didn't normalize that. Rip Hamilton's one who made it cool first. LeBron tried to make it cool later, but Rip Hamilton's the GOAT of the
I don't think the NBA allows him to wear at least like colored. They got to be clear mask now. Like LeBron wore that black one, but I think they have to be clear mask because I don't know, because they make dumb rules about uniforms and whatever. But this is not a basketball podcast. We are a college football podcast. We're about to enter the best season of the year. We're doing a little special episode today. We are making our All American team. And we talked about this a little bit about how we're going to do this. And this is a little bit of expectation versus also what they've done on the field already.
Right.
We're matching it because this isn't going into the year, this is who's going to be best. We're also talking about, come the end of the year, who do we think is going to be the best? And surely we're going to miss on plenty of picks. And there's going to be guys that come out of nowhere because there were freshmen last year that were studs.
We ought to come back to this after the, because we try to find content, we're a little content in a content drought after the college football championship. We ought to come back to this and see, like, how much we know ball.
Yeah. Let's see how much we know ball. So if you're watching on YouTube, going to share our screen over here there. So for everybody to see. So we are going to do 1 quarterback, 2 running backs, 3 wide receivers, 1 tight end, 5 offensive linemen, 4 defensive linemen. We are going to pick 2 defensive tackles, 2 defensive ends, but we're going to do 4 defensive linemen. We're going to do 4 linebackers, 3 cornerbacks, 3 safeties. There's just a lot of guys on defense. We honestly could have went 3 running backs in there too. We could have went 4 wide receivers. We really wanted to.
We're trying to match what the AP does. I mean, and that's who people usually refer to when you talk All Americans.
But also, we want to make it expansive and have enough guys and not limit it down to the super obvious players here as well.
Right.
We're going to skip quarterback to start because Will and I have a little bit different opinions here.
That's an understatement.
Let's start with running back. So before this, Will and I each picked multiple players for each of these positions. So for me, for running back, I had Jeremiah Love, Nick Singleton, Mekhi Hughes out of Oregon, and Desmond Reed at Pitt. Who were your four?
Jeremiah Love out of Notre Dame, Nicholas Singleton out of Penn State, Desmond Reed out of Pitt, and Isaac Brown from Louisville. And Jake, I say we ought to go like when it's multiple players. Who's your guy that you cannot leave off? Like, do you have?
I can't leave Jeremiah Love off here. Like,
I can't either. I think that's the easiest. That's the easiest first pick we'll have in this entire thing. No, it's the second easiest. There's another Jeremiah that I think we can both pretty easily agree on.
I think Jeremiah Love, when you look back at what he did last year, I mean, he was injured in the playoffs, and he still. I saw his grown man run come across my page the other day against Penn State, where Abdul Carter is trying to knock the ball out right at the goal line. There's 3 guys draped on him, and he still finds a way to make it the end zone. It's only like a 4-yard run, which is crazy, but he has just got guys draped over him and finds a way in the end zone. He averaged nearly 7 yards per carry last year, 1,100 yards. You just got to think it's another big year for Jeremiah Love coming, especially with a new quarterback under center. Like, he's going to get a heavy workload this year.
Presumably is CJ Carter. But the greatest part about that run, Jake, and you might have already said this and I just missed it. I was throwing that Y in there. He spells his name a little bit different. He had I don't know if it was a sprained MCL or if he had torn ligaments, but he had an injured knee when he broke 69 Nittany Lion tackles to get into that end zone. So just a freaking man run where he dropped his nuts and just let everybody know who he was. And if you didn't believe in Jeremiah Love at that point, if the 99-yard touchdown run against Indiana in the playoff didn't convince you, that run should have. That was the most manly thing I've ever seen. And Notre Dame, if they're going to be good this year, it's not because of anything but Jeremiah Love on that offense. The defense is going to be good. The offensive line is going to be good. We don't know what CJ Carr is going to be able to do, but it makes his job a lot easier when you have a guy like Jeremiah Love to take some pressure off of you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So we both agree on Jeremiah Love. If we're picking a second one here, who would be your second?
Gosh, I mean, honestly, like you would think it's easy Nick Singleton, but man, Desmond Reed is tough to keep off. Man, he's tough to keep off. And honestly, like Jake, I might want to talk about putting Desmond Reed in the all-purpose spot, even though we don't have him either. Neither of us have him there.
I kind of agree with you there because I have a hard time thinking that Desmond Reed is better than Nick Singleton. I really do like Desmond Reed. I think Desmond Reed is a great running back. He is a guy that catches a lot of passes out of the backfield. He had nearly 600 yards receiving last year to go with his just under 1,000 yards. But wow, Nick Singleton just has that home run threat. Like,
he can do it all.
True home run ability. You just never know when he touches the ball. If he finds a hole, he's got that speed and he can just hit that gap and go. He's got strength. Like, he splits carries with Katron Allen. My biggest thing for Nick Singleton heading this year is, will we get a full year out of him? We lost a couple of games last year for health. He still had 1,100 yards last year. Can he stay healthy? Because if he's healthy all year long, I mean, you're looking at like a 12, 13, 1,400 yard back this year.
Yeah, and like, the difference in Desmond Reed's 5'9" and like 186 pounds, but still is able to run for over 1,000 yards, catch for almost 600, I think he said. Nick Singleton is 6 foot 225, like just a freaking beast. You have to have him on there. Like he and Jeremiah Love are the 1A and 1B running backs in the country. Katron Allen's in the conversation. He's top 10 for sure, top 5 maybe. But Nick Singleton is the bona fide 1B pick. Like this might be the easiest position we pick out of all of these, Jake, because those two guys are just the cream of the crop when it comes to the running back position.
I will say, watch out for Mekhi Hughes this year. Last 2 years at Tulane, he had almost 2,700 yards rushing. He was playing against Tulane, but he is going to be the cowbell back there at Oregon this year. Jordan James is gone. They're putting a new quarterback in, very similar to the Notre Dame situation. But you have an experienced running back that, he's pushing 3,000 career yards in 2 seasons. And you're going to put him in an offense like Oregon where they like to get the ball to their playmakers in space. Like, Hughes could easily go for 12, 13, 1,400 yards again in the Big Ten.
Yeah, and I also want to give Isaac Brown a shout out for Louisville. I didn't think he was going to make it, but he has to be at least in the honorable mentions. As a true freshman, ran for 1,100 yards, 11 touchdowns, 7 yards per carry, which is absurd. So be on the lookout for Isaac Brown. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if he makes this list at the end of the year and takes over somebody. But maybe Nick Singleton because he's splitting carries with Katron Allen. Maybe Jeremiah Love gets an injury, or he's splitting time too. I mean, Isaac Brown will be splitting too with Duke Watson, I believe his name is.
Yeah.
Over in Louisville, but just a phenomenal running back. And then just to go back to Nick Singleton for a second, one thing, like if you want to see who that player is in one play, I believe they are playing Michigan State or maybe Wisconsin. But Nick Singleton comes out of the backfield, absolutely wrecks the defensive end, puts him on his butt, turns around, catches the football, and then trucks the next guy and then goes out of bounds. I mean, so like he literally showed you he can block, he can run routes, he can catch, he can break tackles. All in one play. So phenomenal football player. I don't think there's going to be too many arguments with that one, Jake.
Yeah. I think that this is a pretty consensus number one, number two. A lot of people's 1A, 1B, just however you want to rank them. Let's go to wide receiver. I had Jordan Tyson, Ryan Williams, Zachariah Branch, Nick Marsh, and that was it.
Who's your guy?
Just kidding. I'm sure there's people being like, how did you leave? Yeah, no, Jeremiah Smith. I mean, I think
go ahead
we can talk about him, but like, if you don't know who Jeremiah Smith is, I mean, you're just not paying
attention
to college football. Like,
Google him. Go on YouTube and type in Jeremiah Smith highlights.
Like, he's a freak, and he could play in the NFL this year. Like, that's all you need to know is the guy is a phenomenal wide receiver. If he doesn't win the Biletnikoff, I'd be kind of surprised, honestly.
Yeah, you shouldn't be built that way. That's not fair. It's really not fair.
So who do you – obviously, Jeremiah Smith. Go ahead and let's talk about some of the other ones here.
I had Jeremiah Smith, obviously out of Ohio State, Antonio Williams from Clemson, Aaron Anderson from LSU, Ryan Williams out of Alabama, and Jordan Tyson out of Arizona State. And the two guys that I have that differ from you would be Antonio Williams and Aaron Anderson. Both, Antonio Williams is a quintessential X guy. He can play the slot very, very well. Very good, very polished route runner. Good hands. Needs to go to great hands in order to make this list and at the end of the year. But 900-yard receiver, 11 yards a catch last year. I think he had 10 touchdowns receiving. 11 touchdowns receiving, 12 yards a catch, excuse me. Also ran and threw for a touchdown. So the dude can do it all. And I think with Clemson's passing attack, it's going to take a step forward this year. I wouldn't doubt seeing Antonio Williams. There's another Clemson guy I really wanted to put on here, in Bryant Wesco. TJ Moore even could be that dude, but I really believe in Bryant Wesco's ability to take the top off of the defense. But I couldn't put him on there and leave off an Antonio Williams or an Aaron Anderson. And then to talk about Aaron Anderson, I think he averaged 14 yards a carry, a reception, and was just really one of those war daddies that LSU just always has in that wide receiver room last year. So just an absolute freak. So
the second one I'm going to say, and you agree with this, I believe, is Jordan Tyson as our second wide receiver.
Yeah.
Jordan Tyson was an 1,100-yard wide receiver, and he missed the final 2 games of the season because of injury.
Yeah.
The other thing is he was doing this with a freshman quarterback, and he was the clear cut, other than Cam Skattebo, like he was the other main threat on that offense. And
think about it, Jake. He had that many yards receiving when they ran the ball. Cam Skattebo 293 times. So Cam Skattebo almost had 300 carries, and Jordan Tyson was still able to have 1,100 yards receiving. So that's unbelievable. That means that team really wanted to run the football last year. And I think Jordan Tyson is going to have another really big year. It's another year with Sam Leavitt. They're going to need to focus a little bit more on the pass this year with Skattebo out. I know they're still going to want to run the ball, but you don't have a guy like Skattebo who can – he did everything. We've talked about it against Texas. He was throwing the ball. He was running the ball. He was catching the ball. Like, he was doing everything. Jordan Tyson is going to be probably, in my mind, their biggest playmaker on offense this year. And you saw them missing him against Texas. It did not end up affecting them against Iowa State. They just went out there and just gobsmacked him right in the face. But against Texas, you saw they needed one more dude to really stand up and help them out. And I think if they have Jordan Tyson, they win that game. Everybody was laughing at Arizona State making it to the playoff and thought they were going to be the easiest matchup. Texas was not saying that after they left Atlanta. I can guarantee you that. And if they had Jordan Tyson out on that field, we might have been singing a different tune. So great hands. I mean, just one of the best pure ball catchers in this league. I mean, the guy one-handed catches, secured catches. He plucks the ball to the air. When you want to see a really good wide receiver, you want to see them fully extended catching the ball, almost fully extended. You don't want guys body catching. You don't see Jordan Tyson body catching very often. That ball is rarely hitting his chest. So phenomenal football player. Yeah, I would agree to have him as the second guy that we can definitely agree on.
So we both agree on Ryan Williams here, but I think we both also believe that if he is left off this list, that we will be okay because obviously Ryan Williams' name carries a lot. He was just 17 last year. Didn't know if you guys were aware, but he was only 17 last year.
What?
He's 18 this year. But to me, Ryan Williams' name got carried because the 5-star ability, his game against Georgia, the immaculate catch that he had to take the lead, win the game against Georgia. But other than that, he really fell off after that game. He had 82 yards against Vanderbilt, but then he crossed 53 yards one more time. He had 2 games exactly with 53 yards. But he had 8 catches for 73 yards against Tennessee. But other than that, like LSU, 2 catches, 29 yards. Now, they beat him up by a lot, so not necessary. But Oklahoma, 2 catches, 37 yards. Auburn, 3 catches, 53 yards. Like, one of the issues, and I think we both agree here, though, is that who was throwing him the ball.
Yeah, that plays a role. But also, like, you think he only had 48 catches. And you think about it, the 2 guys we had as locks both had at least 75 catches. I mean, they were the guy. Again, you're right. Jalen Milroe was throwing the ball to him. So
I mean, last week Lance was here. He was talking about Alabama. How at the end of the year, Jeremy Bernard was the more consistent target there down the stretch, rather than Ryan Williams.
Yeah, and I don't want to hold that against Ryan Williams and his. I mean, he averaged 18 yards a catch. 18 yards a catch. That alone, you have to have him in the conversation. You have to. Honestly, like when you look at the slate. I'm between him and Antonio Williams. I mean, I love Nick Marsh at Michigan State. I just don't know what he's going to be able to do with Aiden Childs throwing him the football. I think if he's going to be great, it's going to be this year. If you're going to if he's going to be a household name, I know both of you, you and I both know who Nick Marsh is and both know his ability. And the fact that Michigan State was able to keep him was unreal. Jonathan Smith is a great head coach. I think he's going to get Michigan State moving in the right direction. Don't sleep on Sparty, but in terms of right now and projected forward, I have Antonio Williams and Ryan Williams both projected higher. I have both of them being 1,000-yard receivers.
My biggest concern with Antonio Williams is the core of wide receivers there. There's a lot of guys that Antonio Williams might have a really good year, but he also might end up statistically the same as Bryant Wesco. He might end up statistically the same, where they both have great years, but neither of them are All-Americans because they both go, 60 catches, 850 yards, 7 touchdowns, which is a really good year. It's just is going to fall short of All-American status.
No, that's very fair. And you look at Alabama's receiving core, and outside of Ryan Williams, I mean, like you said, Bernard and Isaiah Horton could be really good guys, but I think Ryan Williams is going to be the dude that they rely on. So I would give my nod to Ryan Williams in this section solely because of exactly what you're saying. Clemson is out there marketing that they have 6 guys, and I agree with them that they have 6 guys that are legitimate targets for Cade Klubnik. If there's 6 guys, you're not going to. It's really unlikely you have a 1,000-yard receiver. I say that now, but then you talk about some of the Clemsons of old with Sammy Watkins, Nuke Hopkins, Jermon Brown, and all these guys and the same freaking Adam Humphreys, all in the same wide receiver room, and they still somehow are producing 1,000-yard receiver, sometimes 2. I want to give the slight nod to Ryan Williams because of his ability to take the top off.
I agree.
His playmaking ability is what sets him apart from everybody else on this list.
I agree, and I think with a actual pocket passer like Ty Simpson, I think we might see a little bit of a jump in his stats this year too.
Yeah, and I don't want to call him a pocket passer because I think Ty Simpson can run. But
he's more of a pocket passer than
yes.
Jalen Milroe. Jalen Milroe is built like, I mean, he's built like a linebacker. He's built like a linebacker, a tight end that can throw the ball. Ty Simpson, he can move, but he is not going to move like a Jalen Milroe did.
Yeah.
Let's talk tight ends here. So I had RJ Maryland out of SMU and Max Clare at Ohio State.
Yep. And I had RJ Maryland as well out of SMU and Eli Stowers from Vanderbilt.
Eli Stowers is getting a lot of hype this year.
The thing with him is he has extremely high ceiling. So it's hard for me to keep him off. I just think it's going to be tough to look at him as an All-American when I have Vanderbilt, I think, winning 5 games next year.
Mm-hmm.
So how many people are going to be talking about Eli Stowers? I mean, but you look at him last year, he was the leading receiver with 638 yards and 5 touchdowns. He's come out 13 yards a reception. I remember in high school when I played tight end, my head coach or my offensive line coach was always saying, William, if you catch the ball, it better be 10 yards. It better be a first down every single time. Eli Stowers did that on Vanderbilt's offense. So he's got that going for him. But if I want to zig on my own freaking list, Max Clare really stands out to me to be a guy who can have a huge season.
That's where I am too.
And it comes down to this. When you have a new quarterback and you start to struggle, a quarterback's best friends are 2 people, a running back and a tight end, 9 times out of 10. And maybe that's old school thinking to me, but I think Max Clare could really be that dude to help Julian Sand, who I'm assuming is going to be named the starting quarterback for Ohio State, be that guy, especially on third downs, where people are doubling Jeremiah Smith, where people are blanketing over on Carnell Tate. Don't forget about the tight end who can now slip out and make some big time freaking plays. So
you want to talk about how Vanderbilt was using their wide receiver. I mean, Max Clare at Purdue had nearly 700 yards as a tight end. We talk about this all the time, but Purdue had all of this NFL talent on their team, but yet couldn't figure out how to win games. Max Clare, I could absolutely see him being, borderline All-American. I don't think he's going to be a Mackey Award. I just don't think Ohio State's going to use the tight end enough. But they really have never had an athlete like Max Clare who can run routes like that.
Right. They haven't. And 700 yards as a tight end is absurd. So honestly, like RJ Maryland, in terms of projection of what he can be, I think he battled injuries last year. 2 years ago,
he played in 6 games.
Yeah, so 2 years ago, he was one of the best tight ends in the country. So I don't want to gloss over him. We both have him on our list. He's a phenomenal tight end. So if
you sound sold on Max Clare, though.
Yeah, I'm very sold on Max Clare. I want Max. I would pick Max Clare out of this. I think RJ Maryland would honestly be my third. So I would say Max Clare or Eli. Honestly, Eli, if I want to go, my number 1 overall pick would be Eli Stowers because I think production-wise, he'll be relied on more than Max Clare. However, I think Max Clare can be more valuable to his team and can be an all-around better player. So I won't be mad at Max Clare, but I'm going to push for Eli Stowers just a little. I'm going to nudge for him.
I would have had Stowers third, I think. So RJ Maryland, you're talking about potential. And, how does he come back from injury? He only played 6 games last year. He had 300 yards. He's a very athletic tight end. There's a lot of new faces on this.
He could be a first-round draft pick. If RJ Maryland is healthy, he will be a first-round draft pick. I will almost guarantee that.
Yeah. I think Claire. I was really trying not to be Homer with this, but you look at it and go, dude, he's going to be very, very productive in this Ryan Day offense. Like Ryan Day is going to scheme ways for Claire to get open because he knows that there's going to be extra coverage on Jeremiah Smith. And he's going to make teams early remember that Claire is there where they now have to, are we going to cover Claire? Are we going to cover over the middle? Are we going to make sure that Jeremiah's got, or are we going to leave Jeremiah one-on-one? Because if you leave Jeremiah one-on-one, we saw what happened. It's game over.
Right. It's icing on the cake. So, yeah, I'm cool with Max Clare at Ohio State.
Let's go into the offensive line. Here's where you will probably be leading the charge here because as much as I follow college football, offensive line is probably the area I know the least about in general, but I think there's a couple that we're going to agree on. So I had Spencer Fano from Utah, Caden Proctor from Alabama, DJ Campbell from Texas, Vega Ione from Penn State, Jake Slaughter from Florida, and Amarj Reed Adams. I think I say his name.
Yeah,
from Texas
Amarj
A&M.
Reed Adams.
Amarj Reed Adams.
He's a freaking stud. Yeah, and I love every single one of your picks. I have Blake Miller out of Clemson. I think he's the best right tackle in the game. Jake Slaughter out of Florida. I think he's the best center in the game. Nick Dawkins, who's also a center. I think if you want to go 1A, 1B, Nick Dawkins would be number 2. Drew. Oh my gosh, Drew Shelton out of Penn State. So 2 Penn State guys back to back. Spencer Fano out of Utah and Francis Mauigoa.
Myoga?
Myoga, that's it. Myoga out of Miami, who I think people are talking about could potentially be the number 1 offensive lineman taken in this year's draft. So we could go ahead and put Jake Slaughter and Spencer Fano on there because
I think Spencer Fano is basically viewed as of right now, people believe he is the number 1 offensive lineman in the country. He is an absolute mauler, and people absolutely believe he is going to be a first-round pick next year.
Well, he's the quintessential Utah trenches player. Big, mean. I mean, you want to talk about his size. Spencer Fano is 6'6", 300 pounds, but the dude is all muscle and will freaking just annihilate anybody who gets in his way. Pure pass rusher. He's a pass protector. Very athletic. Very smooth. And then he's got that piss to him that he can just when he needs to finish somebody, he goes and finishes them. So I really like watching Spencer Fano play football. Jake Slaughter, you want to talk about another freaking just war daddy size dude? Let me give you this dude's measurables. Jake Slaughter.
He's one of these 7 foot, 450 pound offensive linemen, isn't he?
No, he's actually 6'5", 300. He's the lightest player on Florida's offensive line. So think about that. 300 pounds is the lightest guy on Florida's offensive line. But when you talk about having a cerebral guy at center who can freaking move, Jake Slaughter's your guy. He's extremely athletic. I mean, think a bigger Jason Kelsey. He's a little bit taller than Jason Kelsey is, but that's the style of football that he plays. The guy can get out, he can block, and he's protecting one of the biggest quarterbacks in college with DJ Lagway. So really like Jake Slaughter. He could be a center that goes in the first round this year. So this is going to be a very deep offensive line class.
Having the last name Slaughter,
that's
as
perfect.
An offensive lineman, just about as perfect as it comes.
But if I'm going to put my guy out there that you have to have, it's Francis. The guy I can't even pronounce his last name.
Myoga from Miami.
He's another one. He has such a high ceiling. He started since he was a true freshman at Miami. One of the highest rated recruits that they've gotten. He is. You want to talk about Mario Cristobal's guy? That's him. Just is the anchor of that entire offensive line. So Carson Beck is going to love him some Francis. And if you want to watch a really, really good technique of an offensive tackle play, turn on his tape. Turn on his tape from last year, and then just watch him this year. Watch him play offensive line. It is a beautiful sight to see.
I feel like we have to have at least one Penn State player on this. We have 3 on here. I feel like we can't not have one of them on here.
Drew Shelton would be my guy, but I would not. When you talk about Ione, I don't want to try to pronounce his first name, but the guard.
He goes by Vega. I know that.
Okay.
He just takes the last 4 letters. Vega Ione.
That's very helpful. Thank you, sir. And that's the guy they would stick out at wide receiver who would come down and crack down on people. But I honestly think Drew Shelton is the better overall player. But if I could,
yeah. There's so many offensive linemen trying to keep up with all of them. That's the one thing. It's I would believe that Drew Shelton might be the anchor of that line.
Yeah, and I mean, the last person I'm going to really fight for would be Blake Miller. But I wouldn't be mad to see Ione or even Reed Adams or Armaj Reed Adams out of Texas A&M. Another, and that's I'm pretty sure he plays guard. So if we want to be true to ourselves, we have 3 tackles. We have a center. Maybe we need to throw a guard in there. But I think my boy Spencer Fano can play anywhere on there. So we're just going to say that Spencer Fano can slide in a little bit. But
you're the offensive line expert. I'm going to let you make the final call.
All right, I'm going to be. Let's go Armaj Reed Adams. I like him. 6'5", 340, absolute stud at guard.
He's a big boy.
We're going to run the football. We're going to be running the football with this team.
Like this team is not going to struggle to move the ball up and down the field.
Yeah, and then I can't wait to talk about this next group. I got two guys.
Defensive line. This is a fun group. This is a lot of fun here. So, defensive ends. I have Dylan Stewart out of South Carolina, Colin Simmons out of Texas, Mateo Uiagalelei from Oregon, TJ Parker from Clemson. Defensive line, I have, or defensive tackles, I have Dante Corleone from Cincinnati, Zane Durant from Penn State, Lee Hunter from Texas Tech, and Peter Woods from Clemson.
Yep. And then I have TJ Parker out of Clemson, Dylan Stewart out of South Carolina, Colin Simmons out of Texas, and Ruben Bain Jr. out of Miami. And then at defensive tackle, I have Peter Woods at Clemson, Zane Durant out of Penn State, Caleb Banks out of Florida, and Dante Corleone at Cincinnati.
The one thing I've noticed is we definitely have some implicit bias here because my fourth one for the defensive ends is a Big Ten guy. Yours is an ACC guy.
Ruben Bain could be the number one edge guy in this class. I mean, and if he wasn't on Miami and just an absolutely terrible defense, I think his name is talked about more in most circles. But when you have a guy like TJ Parker, the amount of hype he's gotten and the amount of hype that Clemson overall as a team has gotten, it's really hard to overcome that. But yes, there is some implicit bias going on here.
So if we're going to talk about defensive ends, the two I'm going to fight for are Colin Simmons and TJ Parker, which I don't think there's going to be any fight for TJ Parker.
Yeah,
but Colin Simmons would be my other one.
Parker on there. Yeah, go ahead and throw TJ Parker on there. I will fight to the death on that, and Colin Simmons would actually be my other guy. And go ahead. Sorry, I got a little excited and spoke over you.
I mean, TJ Parker last year, he had 57 tackles, 11 sacks, 6 forced fumbles. That's an absurd amount of forced fumbles.
Led the country in forced fumbles.
That is an insane amount. Colin Simmons, as a true freshman, had 9 sacks, 3 forced fumbles, interception, 48 total tackles. These two guys are going to have incredible years. I mean, Dylan Stewart is a huge name, also because ESPN liked to use a graphic of him, shooting a gun. But when you compare Dylan Stewart against Colin Simmons, you talk about the same conference, and Colin Simmons overall had better production. He helped his team make the playoffs. He was one of the anchors on the defensive line as a true freshman. Mateo Uiagalelei, I'm okay with leaving off. I think he flies under the radar a little bit, but he had 10.5 sacks last year.
Yeah, which is
first season starting.
Okay, yeah.
He didn't. First season, he didn't really play as much. He was reserve. He was a rotational guy. Last year, he was a starting defensive end. 10.5 sacks, 2 forced fumbles, an interception. He had a sack in all but 4 games last year. He also missed the Big Ten championship game against Penn State. But I think he will be another guy that at the end of the year, don't be surprised if he's on All American lists.
Yeah, but if we left Colin Simmons off as a defensive end, I think we'd be lying to ourselves.
Oh, yeah.
Dylan Stewart was good, but he only had, I think it was 4.5 sacks last year. I say only.
I
6.5, excuse me. He had 6.5, which is still good. But you talk 23 tackles, 6.5 sacks, 4 tackles for loss. So statistically, just wasn't as monstrous as a Colin Simmons. And then you want to talk about hurries. Colin Simmons even had 9 hurries to Stewart's 4. So I mean, it's hard. It would be almost impossible to convince me that Colin Simmons or that Dylan Stewart is the better edge than Colin Simmons.
I agree. So I think we can go ahead and we can slot Colin Simmons in there as well.
But Dylan Stewart would have been my third, if we're being honest. I mean, the guy can freaking play some football. Another true freshman playing last year as a true freshman. So 2 very, very, very young guys. The SEC has some freaking studs on the defense. Who could have guessed?
Who would have thought? Defensive tackles. If you were to pick one, who is going to be your guy? I knew that was going to be your guy.
I know. Bias. You're so biased, William. Peter Woods is going to be one of the top 10 players taken in the draft. So it's not just me. He's finally sliding back in to play at his natural position at defensive tackle. He weighs 307 pounds, and 270 pounds of that is muscle. I want people to think about that. They just did his body mass index. 270 pounds of that is muscle. Jake, if you could do a quick calculator math on that for me, or what the body fat percentage is as a defensive tackle, people.
That's a lot. It's a lot.
It's a lot. It's a lot. So Peter Woods, and then you want to talk about production. 32 tackles, only 3 sacks, 5.5 tackles for loss, and 5 quarterback hurries. But you have to remember, they had him playing at edge because Clemson had nobody to play at defensive end last year. So he's playing multiple positions, got hurt in the second game of the year against App State and missed 3 or 4 games in a row. But Peter Woods, if he's healthy this entire year, is going to be a force. Zane Durant would be my very, very close second.
Yeah, so that was actually in my two. My two are going to be Peter Woods and Zane Durant. I like Corleone, but the production wasn't always there at times last year. And Lee Hunter from Texas Tech, same thing. 2 years ago, really good. Last year, step back. I think he's going to be really good at Texas Tech in that interior this year, coming over from UCF. But Peter Woods only played in 8 games I saw last year. Still had 3 sacks. I think he's going to have a really strong year. I mean, Clemson, we know the defense is going to be special for them. Like, that's where they're going to make a lot of money. The offense is going to be strong, but they're also going to have a ton of great defenders. There's a reason why people are so high on Clemson this year. Yeah. Because of all of the talent they're bringing back. People are talking a lot about, Penn State bringing back. They're following the same as, Ohio State. They're following the same as Michigan. You look at Clemson, there's a ton of talent and a ton of guys back on this roster as well. So there's a reason why we're talking about Penn State and Clemson in so many of these, because same thing. They brought back all this talent. They're both predicted to be, studs on both sides of the ball. We're going to have more players from both these teams that we talk about still too.
Yeah, and I like Dante Corleone. First off, that's the best name as a defensive lineman. I mean, to be the godfather. I mean, the guy can flat out play. I don't want people to think that just because he plays at little Cincinnati that he's not a dude. This dude is going to be a force this year. But when you talk the faces of defensive tackle this year, everyone is mentioning Peter Woods and Zane Durant. You might throw Caleb Banks in there from Florida, who's also a stud, but he doesn't get near as much publicity as Peter Woods and Zane Durant. So, you want to set somebody apart. Everybody's talking about these two guys. Now, we are the Walk On Redshirts. We are not afraid to zig when everybody else is zagging. But in this case, we're gonna keep zagging with everybody else.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to not zag with them here. Let's talk about linebackers here. So I've got Anthony Hill from Texas, Jacob Rodriguez from Texas Tech, Drake Bowen at Notre Dame, and Sammy Brown at Clemson.
Yep, and I have Whit Weeks out of LSU, Anthony Hill out of Texas, Kyle Efford out of Georgia Tech, Mr. Neckroll himself, and Sammy Brown out of Clemson.
I think we can both agree Anthony Hill for sure makes this list.
Yes.
Anthony Hill might be the best linebacker in all college football.
He might, and I have, but he wasn't even my guy I'm going to stand on the table for.
Your guy you're going to stand on the table is Sammy Brown. I know that.
Well, so again, Anthony. So let's talk about Anthony Hill before we move on. 113 tackles last year, 8 sacks. 8 sacks as a linebacker, as a middle linebacker, is absurd when you're also getting 113. The dude could do everything on the defense. He also had 1 pass breakup, 1 interception. So I mean, he's just
4
making
forced fumbles too,
and 4 forced fumbles. So the guy he has one of those filled up stat sheets in all of college football. Just one of the best freaking all around players, and he's got size too, 6'3", 240. He is the perfect size of a middle linebacker. I cannot wait to watch Anthony Hill play freaking football this year. He's one of my favorite players. Not even close. Where's number 0? That's pretty cool.
There's sometimes where linebackers go missing in games, and why isn't he making tackles? Why isn't he near the ball? Like, is this guy out of position? It feels like that's never a problem with Anthony Hill. You look at, he has multiple games. He had 3 games with 11 plus tackles last year. He's going to sniff out the ball. He's ready to go. He's not afraid of contact.
Think about this. He had 113 tackles. You know who was second on the team in tackles?
Was it Andrew Makuba?
Michael Taff was 78. So
I figured it was one of the safeties.
he had about 30. He had 35 tackles more than the person in second place.
Yeah, he was just out there looking for contact each week.
Yeah, love that. Love that.
Go ahead. We'll put Sammy Brown in here. Sammy Brown's on my list, and we've got we probably need to go to 3 spots. I think 4 might be too many.
Yeah, and let me tell you why I have to have Sammy Brown. Sammy Brown started, I believe, in only 4 games last year, maybe less. Played in less than that. Played a significantly fewer amount of snaps than everybody on that defense, specifically Wade Woodaz, who's also a stud, who I would have had as an honorable mention here. But Sammy Brown was second in the team in tackles with 87, only 2 tackles behind Wade Woodaz, and he played almost 50% less than Wade Woodaz did. The guy has a nose for the football. He can get after the quarterback. He can run. The dude will probably run a 4.5, 4.4 when it comes to the combine time. He's got the size at 6'2", 230. The dude can do it all. Plus, he has a mullet and a handlebar mustache.
The mullet is the bet. The mullet and the handlebar mustache make it.
Yeah. So, yes, I might be a homer for putting Sammy Brown on there, but if anybody has watched Sammy Brown, they would be okay with me being a homer on that pick. If you have not watched Sammy Brown, turn on the tape, and if you disagree with me, I will gladly hear you out.
So I'm going to pound the table for Jacob Rodriguez out of Texas Tech. Let me read you his stat line. 127 tackles.
Okay.
11 tackles for loss, 5 sacks, 1 interception, 4 passes defended, 3 forced fumbles, and a touchdown.
That's pretty darn good. That's pretty darn good.
You want to talk about filling up a stat sheet?
How many sacks did he have?
5 sacks, 11 tackles for loss.
That's pretty insane. If I'm battling with you, go ahead.
If Texas Tech is going to make a move this year, it's going to be with Jacob Rodriguez. You know, he's the heart and soul of that defense. You talk about a guy that is going to be a force. Like, we're talking about Texas Tech being a potential playoff team. They're not going to do it unless Jacob Rodriguez is having another stellar year, 130 tackles, 10 plus tackles for loss, a bunch of sacks, an interception or 2. Like, he is going to be a guy that is going to be the reason they make or miss the playoff this year.
Yeah. When you talk about Texas Tech, I mean, traditionally when you think Texas Tech, you think offense and you don't think defense. Mm-hmm. People are still talking about the offense, but they're forgetting that the defense is what kept them in so many games last year and what's probably going to have them contending for the Big 12 title this year. So I'm not anti-Jacob Rodriguez by any means, but I have to get and stand up on this table for Whit Weeks at LSU. Whit Weeks wasn't going to be the starter. Harold Perkins goes down, and he steps in as a sophomore last year and just goes off for 125 tackles. 3.5 sacks, 6.5 tackles for loss, 1 pick, 3 pass breakups, 6 hurries. So, yes, Jacob Rodriguez, I'm thinking of Clemson. Jacob Rodriguez has a better stat line. Whit Weeks is playing in the SEC, and he's playing in a very, very difficult conference. I mean, Big 12 was difficult as well. And 127 tackles, I don't care what conference you're in, that's freaking awesome. But I think Whit Weeks just plays linebacker almost better than anyone else in this league. I mean, he can do it all as well, and he's doing it in the SEC at Baton Rouge on a defense that was kind of middle of the pack last year. So he's really having to do it all. I would also I have to bring up Kyle Efford because he is one of my favorite players in all of college football, regardless of if he makes this list or not. Because I don't think he is, based off of what we're talking about. But we have to at least talk about Kyle Efford and his neck roll. So Kyle Efford, number 40. What number does he wear for Georgia Tech, Jake? I think 40.
Kyle Efford wears 44.
44. Freaking stud. Last year, 64 tackles. I mean, it doesn't seem like that much. He played hurt every single game last year. And you want to talk about like a guy that's leaving it all out in the field. He was just so much fun to watch. So I just want to give him some flowers right here while we're talking this. I think it's still going to come down to Jacob Rodriguez and Whit Weeks, but I just want to make sure we talk a little bit about my boy Kyle Effort.
Yeah, I mean, he had 23 tackles in the first 2 games last year between Florida State and Georgia State. Obviously, some injuries. He only ended up playing in 10 games last year. So I'm excited to see what he does. I mean, any guy with like a neck roll and the way he just can scare people by looking at them definitely means they're in consideration. But yeah, I think that what Jacob Rodriguez will mean to Texas Tech is going to be the difference. I think if Texas Tech makes a move, people are going to know who Jacob Rodriguez is. Not saying they won't know Whit Weeks if LSU makes a move, but there's so many other major players on that team that I think Whit Weeks might, slip through the cracks.
Yeah, and I'm not mad about it. If I want to throw some dirt into LSU's eyes right before we play, and that's perfectly fine with me too. So let's, and both of our guys are 6'2", 6'3 plus. Let's throw in a 6'1 king, a short king of Jacob Rodriguez over there.
Hey, they play with a chip on their shoulder too.
That's right. You want a guy that's a little smaller. Ben Boulware wasn't the biggest guy in the world, but yeah, I'm sure you didn't want to go across the middle on him.
You definitely didn't. Cornerbacks here. So I had Jeremiah McCoy from Tennessee, Dalen Everett from Georgia, Malik Muhammad from Texas, and Leonard Moore from Notre Dame.
And I have Avion Terrell out of Clemson, Jermod McCoy out of Tennessee as well, AJ Harris from Penn State, and Chandler Rivers from Duke.
First things first, leaving Leonard Moore off your list was
I messed up.
Massive mistake, because that is the one I'm going to sit here and pound the table for, because Leonard Moore might be the best cornerback in the country.
I won't argue with you. I will allow you to pound the table for Leonard Moore, and I'll allow you to put him on there. There's going to be no pushback from me.
Like Leonard Moore Benjamin Morrison went down last year for Notre Dame, and Leonard Moore played like they already had a Thorpe Award winner on their defense.
Yeah, I wrote off Notre Dame as soon as Ben Morrison went down, and then Leonard Moore made it seem like it didn't matter. Also, great size, 6 foot 186. So the dude is already built like an NFL guy, can freaking run with anybody. If you go back to the title game, he gave Jeremiah Smith all the trouble he could take. So
Jeremiah Smith ate up on Christian Gray, but Leonard Moore Leonard Moore forced a fumble. He forced the fumble against Emeka Egbuka and kept Notre Dame in that game, because if Emeka Egbuka holds on and Ohio State kicks a field goal or does anything at that point, the game's over.
Yeah, and I'm not going to push back on Leonard Moore. He might be one of the best corners in the league, if not the best. I again, a little biased. If I'm going to pound the table for somebody, it's going to be Avion Terrell. Are we
going to put Jeremiah McCoy on here, or are we both kind of iffy on him?
I put him on there. I think he's phenomenal. The only thing that makes me worry about Jeremiah McCoy is his health. If he can stay healthy, I think he got hurt last year, had an ankle injury. But if he's healthy, there's going to be no pushback from me. Jeremiah McCoy is a freaking stud, one of the best cornerbacks in the draft coming into this year. But Tennessee, that defense is going to have to win them games. So there's going to be a lot of pressure on Jeremiah McCoy. So if he slacks at all, you'll be able to identify him. But you talk about another guy, 6 foot, 193. So very similar in build to Leonard Moore. Can run with anybody. He's very physical. You're not going to press. He can press you, and you're not going to get him off the line. He's also not afraid to come up and tackle. So I really like that about these two guys that we have on there. So to give him his flowers, it's one of those things too. He had 44 tackles last year. As a cornerback, that's absurd. That's absurd. And that's not because people were throwing on him. That's because he's stepping up and sticking his freaking face in the fan to make a tackle. So Jeremiah McCoy plays old school freaking football. I love watching it. Again, he had some injuries last year. Only had, I think, 5 starts. But no, he had more than that.
I am fine with Avion Terrell, but we got to give some of these other guys their flowers here.
Yep. Go ahead.
So, Dalen Everett was a guy that I put on here. He had 58 tackles last year, 1 sack, 2 forced fumbles, 3 interceptions, 3 passes defended. when you get a sack as a cornerback, that's got to be like the best thing ever. Like
Yeah.
you got to love getting interceptions, but you never get a chance to hit the quarterback. So Dalen Everett having a sack, 2 forced fumbles. I mean, he was just doing it all on that defense. Malik Muhammad was a guy that I like a lot, but I was going to be okay leaving him off this list because he had 0 interceptions last year. Jahdae Barron was obviously the Thorpe Award winner last year. So Texas had a very good secondary, especially when you talk about Michael Taft and Andrew Makuba. They had a really good secondary last year. I think Malik Muhammad is going to step up. I don't think he's going to quite be a Jahdae Barron, but I think they're not going to miss too much of a beat with Malik Muhammad being their cornerback, their number 1 cornerback.
I will say the thing that like turns me off on Malik Muhammad is TJ Moore had a career day against him in the playoff. I mean, just ate his lunch. Couldn't do anything to him. I think he had 8 catches over 100 yards and 2 touchdowns. So it was that kind of skews me a little bit. I know he's a really good football player, and TJ Moore is obviously a really good football player. So it's hard to hold that against him. But you have a true freshman going up against you in a pretty high situation, and you just got destroyed. Dalen Everett, he's going to be the next dude from Georgia. I don't think he's a Malachi Starks. I know he played safety, but he's not of that caliber.
I agree,
but he can freaking play. And then you want to talk about a guy who no one's talking about really outside of the ACC is Chandler Rivers. He's arguably the best corner in the ACC. Not in my opinion, but in a lot of talking heads around the ACC believe that Chandler Rivers is actually the dude. People don't throw towards him. And he's getting coached up by Manny Diaz, who knows how to coach defense, and he definitely knows how to coach corners. Always has good corners on the defenses that he coaches. So I'm high on Chandler Rivers this year. And then AJ Harris is another guy for Penn State, a freaking dude. So
AJ Harris might be a first-round pick next year.
Right. So, you want to talk about splitting hairs. I mean, my hairs would be split between AJ Harris and Avion Terrell. But Avion Terrell, 64 tackles last year, 2 picks. He's another one. Not afraid to stick his face in the fan, go make plays. He's constantly breaking up passes, getting his hands in there. If there's anything I want to nitpick on Avion Terrell about, is he's too handsy at times, but I think that's just the style. He likes to play physically. And some referees don't like that, but he'll get after you and talk about it, let you know that he's made a play on you. But just turn the conversation back to AJ Harris. He's a guy who's freaking 6'1", 190. So all these guys, Avion Terrell's 5'11", 190. So all these guys are around the 6 foot range. So you're starting to find this sweet spot of guys who are big enough to compete with the taller receivers, but can also run with the shorter receivers. So AJ Harris is a guy that people are talking about who could potentially be a first-round draft pick. He came in last year, 1 pick, but he had 5 breakups, 4 tackles for loss. So another guy. I think he had 45 tackles last year, 48, excuse me. So another guy, not afraid to stick his freaking face in the fan. So youngins out there watching the show, if you want to play corner, it's cool to go out there and break up a pass and do the little seatbelt. But stick your face in the fan. Go out there and earn it.
Let's go over to safeties here. I think we're going to agree for the most part here. I have Caleb Downs, Ohio State, Coy Parrish, Minnesota, Michael Taft, Texas, and then I have Isaiah Nkodia from SMU.
Yeah, you're going to do. I want to hear your takes on him because I don't know much about him. For me, I have Caleb Downs, Ohio State, Zaki Wheatley, Penn State, Coy Parrish, Minnesota, and Dylan Thieneman out of Oregon. And I think both of us can go ahead and put down Caleb Downs and Coy Parrish as the first 2 safeties. Coy Parrish might be the Walk On Redshirts Player of the Year.
We are a big fan of Coy Parrish over here.
But Jake, I mean, we are both big fans of him. Jake leads the charge. So, Jake, I'll let you give him his flowers.
I think Coy Parrish is going to win the Thorpe Award this year. I think Caleb Downs is the best defensive player in the country.
But the problem is with him not winning the Thorpe would be because people don't want to vote for him because of they get tired of seeing Caleb Downs talked about, so they want to zag a little bit.
And sometimes Caleb Downs does things that don't show up on the stat sheet. Caleb Downs, I think a fantastic example is last year against Texas when it was that goal line stand when they did the toss play. The very questionable toss play. Caleb Downs shot through the gap and pushed the running back that he had to go outside. That way the rest of the team can clean it up. Caleb Downs doesn't get credit with a tackle there. But when you watch that, you go, well, Caleb Downs broke up that play.
He made the
Everybody
play.
else was there to clean it up and got credit for the tackle or the tackle for the loss.
He won his one-on-one match so that someone could make the tackle. Ended up being gang tackles because there's no more help.
Exactly. Caleb Downs, I think the stat sheet doesn't always show everything he does. The one thing that Caleb Downs, if you go back ever want to watch the Oregon game, he dropped probably 3 interceptions in that game. That he doesn't always have the most surefire hands. And when you talk about some of these awards, they're very stat driven. And if Caleb Downs doesn't have, 4 or 5 interceptions, like people are going to look at it and say, well, maybe he didn't have the best year, but NFL scouts are still going to be drooling over him.
Yeah.
Coy Parrish, though, that dude can find the ball.
5 picks last year. 5
as a true
picks.
freshman.
Yeah.
True freshman with 5 interceptions. They're going to play him on offense this year at some point. They have a split jersey right now, so that way when he goes out as wide receiver, like he's got a half maroon, half white jersey he wears at practice. It's kind of funny. But so
he's the white Travis Hunter.
Yeah, he is. And this dude just makes plays. He has a little bit more of like a Cooper DeJean feel to him because they use him as, Cooper DeJean was a cornerback, obviously. But Coy Parrish, he roams the field. He's going to play on returns. He did play on returns last year.
And like Cooper DeJean, he's listed as a safety, but you're going to see him play nickel. You might see him play some boundaries corner. You might see him play some linebacker. So I think it is fair to compare him to Cooper DeJean in that light because Cooper DeJean was also playing all over the field. But Coy Parrish, even more so, plays multiple positions. He is a positionless player.
And I don't think Minnesota is going to be a perennial playoff team, but I think Minnesota will win a few games because of Coy Parrish this year.
Yeah, absolutely.
Don't step into the koi pond this year.
That's right. We need t-shirts. Coy, we'd love to have you on the show. We'll make t-shirts for you.
We got to have something like don't mess with the koi pond.
Yeah, that's right. Stay out of the koi pond. Have Michael Scott falling in the koi pond. I know who fell in the koi pond on the Office. It wasn't Michael Scott. It was someone else. Oh no, it wasn't. Michael Scott.
Are we in the trust tree?
And Jim stepped back. You've never seen The Office.
I have never seen The Office.
That's okay, Jake. That's okay because you know what? You get to do that I don't get to do. You get to watch The Office for the first time, and it is a phenomenal. If you like laughing and you like having a good time and you like good shows, then you'll like The Office.
Sounds like a great off-season show for me.
It is a great Office season show
because
you have now almost when this show comes out, you will have 10 days to get to watch the entirety of The Office.
Yeah, all 200 episodes or whatever they got.
You can do it. I believe in you.
That's the last safety here. So I have Michael Taff and Isaiah Nokobia, if I'm saying his last name right. So Taff was part of that stud secondary for Texas. He had 78 tackles, 2 interceptions, 2 sacks, 1 forced fumbled, 10 passes defended. Would have liked to see a little bit more with the interceptions, but 10 passes defended. Isaiah Nokobia had 100 tackles as a safety. 100 tackles as a safety.
That's absurd.
And 3 interceptions. You don't have to know a ton, but I'm fine listening to the other guys because I think Zaki Wheatley and Dylan Thieneman are probably better. I think they're better safeties overall. But I really wanted to mention Nokobia because he had 100 tackles, which is just an absurd stat line.
Well, I'm gonna ditch my Dylan Thieneman for Oregon. He, another one of the Purdue guys. But Zaki Wheatley is my favorite safety this year, outside of Coy Parrish and Caleb Downs. But I think Zaki Wheatley is not talked about enough. Michael Taft was close to making my list. I do love the Isaiah Nokobia stat with 100 tackles. That is absurd. So, I wouldn't be mad if we put him in there. But Zaki Wheatley, 96
had 95 tackles. I will say that.
Yeah. So Zaki Wheatley, 95 tackles, 4 pass pickups, 3 picks, a sack, 1.5 tackles for loss. He's making plays at 6'2", 200 pounds. He can hit He can freaking hit. He's not afraid to come up in the box and freaking play. When I get excited about a guy, I say freaking a lot, so I'm really sorry. But Zakee Wheatley is going to be a safety that's going to play a long time in the league. He's going to be the cornerstone of this Penn State defense. You know, everyone wants to talk about Denai Dennis Sutton and Zane Durant and Tony Rojas and DeLuca. What's DeLuca? Dominic DeLuca.
Dom DeLuca.
No one's talking about Zakee Wheatley, and I don't know why. I think he is the best player on that defense. He was third in the He was third on the team last year in tackles behind Jalen Reed and Kobe King, which is also absurd because I'm pretty sure both of those guys were defensive backs. So what is Penn State doing having their defensive backs make all these freaking tackles? But Zakee Wheatley is that freaking dude that I love to watch play football. And his dad loves to follow, I think follows us on Walk On Redshirts. So we got to give him some love too.
His dad's a good follow on the internet.
And our All-American head coach is obviously Lance Leipold, so that doesn't have to be said.
Exactly. We're big fans. Yeah, that one, Lance Leipold makes All-American head coach. Although, shout out Mike Loxley for liking
he's good. He's offense coordinator.
Yeah, liking the AI photo of him that I made of him funny. Being a baby.
No, he quote tweeted hilarious. He quote tweeted didn't he?
He did. He thought it was hilarious.
Yeah.
All right. Kicker and punter. Okay, so for my kickers, I had I changed mine. I had Blake Craig from Missouri, who was 24 of 34 last year, 6 of 9 from 50 yards and longer, which attempting 9 50-plus yards is absurd already. And then
he can do it.
Dom DeZabian from Miami, Ohio. He was 26 of 30. He was perfect inside of 40 yards with a long of 51 yards. I'll be honest. If you got a kicker you want, like, go ahead and put it down. I would pick Blake Craig because, you know, making 6 from 50-plus yards is pretty crazy.
So I'm going to win this one because John Love, shout out John Love, McCracken's finest. I coached him at McCracken Middle School in Spartanburg, coached him at Spartanburg High School as a 9th grader. He had a long of 60 yards last year, so he's got a freaking cannon of a leg. 42 for 42 and extra points. Only missed 2 field goals all year. One was 50-plus yards and one was in the 30 to 39-yard range. I'm not going to hold that against him. So, John Love, Virginia Tech, you are a Walk On Redshirts All-American kicker. So, shout out.
Punter, I had one. I had Atticus Bertrams.
Boom, you win. That's the best name on the planet. Bertrams.
Just to give a little bit of stats, he did average 45.3 yards per punt with a long of 74 last year. That is an absolute boot.
He has the entire state of Louisiana as his shoe.
Wisconsin, they are feeding him some cheese curds for sure.
Oh, absolutely. I don't have my long of on Daniel Sparks, the punter out of Virginia. I just know they punted a lot last year, so the dude was just trotting out there a lot. 2,500 yards as a punter. I'm not going to say that was the air yards. Averaged 45 yards a kick, which is pretty freaking good. I need to find out his long, but he had 14 kicks inside of the 20, which I think is also awesome. So when you kick 57 times, 14 of those went inside of the 20. I mean, you're pinning guys deep and allowing the other team last year to go 80-plus yards to score on you multiple times. So what was this guy's name? Daniel Sparks? Sparks, kicker, Virginia. Let's see. What was his longest kick last year? It would have been nice if I looked this up beforehand. He's also 6'6", which is pretty awesome. Real
quick, are we good agreeing that Desmond Reed would be our all-purpose?
Yeah. It's between him and Wetjen. I don't know how I actually pronounce his name. Caden Wayan out of Iowa. He's their kick returner who I think is phenomenal. But let's see.
I picked some returners. Mine was Keelan Marion, former. Both of them played at BYU last year. Funny enough, he had 2 touchdowns on kick returns last year, and then Parker Kingston, who had 2 touchdowns on punt returns. Yeah. So I just picked guys that scored, but I'd rather have Desmond Reed there, honestly.
Daniel Sparks is along with 66, so I'll have to bow out on to Atticus Bertrams for Wisconsin.
74 yards is an absolute bomb of a punt.
All right, Jake, let's jump into this. I gotta rip this Band-Aid off.
All right, quarterback. I had Garrett Nussmeier at LSU, Sam Levitt, Arizona State.
I had Cade Klubnik, Clemson, and Lenora Sellers, South Carolina.
You're having your rivals as your two. Okay.
I would be remiss to not have Lenora Sellers on this list after what he did to me last year on the day I went to go get my Christmas tree. So he's a scumbag.
You mean
for
you're
the next
not having DJ Lagway number one like on 3 did the other day?
That's absolutely absurd.
That was kind of crazy. All right, Sam Levitt is not going to be the pick, but I did just want to highlight him because I'll be honest, my other one was going to be Cade Klubnik, but I thought it'd be funnier for me to put Sam Levitt.
So you almost caused the end of this podcast on purpose.
So I did want to put Sam Levitt on here because Sam Levitt was a redshirt freshman last year, threw for well over 2,000 yards, ran for another 500 yards, 24 touchdowns, only 6 interceptions. Like he led Arizona State to a playoff as a redshirt freshman. He brought Arizona State from a team that was going to be picked last. Now, granted, there were plenty of other players on that team, Cam Scatterby, Jordan Tyson, guys we talked about already. But it starts with the guy under center. If you had an absolute terrible quarterback last year, they're not getting to that territory. Sam Levitt into year 2 with Jordan Tyson, I think he's going to get a lot better. It wouldn't shock me if at the end of the year we're talking about Sam Levitt as an All-American. I don't think he'll be first team, but it wouldn't shock me if he is a 3rd or 4th team AP All-American this year. Garrett Nussmeier, I think that's pretty self-explanatory. He had over 4,000 yards last year, 29 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. The big thing for me, which is kind of for Garrett Nussmeier, holds him back. In the middle of that stretch of the season, he threw 9 interceptions over 5 games, and he actually threw 0 against Arkansas. So over 4 games, he threw 9 interceptions in the absolute meat of the schedule.
Yeah, that's absolutely insane.
I would personally have Cade Klubnik here. I think that for what Clemson is going to do, there's a lot of talk. I think Drew Aller is another one to be considered for obvious reasons. Drew Aller is in a very similar position to Cade Klubnik. I think there's a lot of quarterbacks that can be considered. The big thing about the quarterback position is going into the year, there's not really many where you look and go, yeah, like that guy is going to be a first-round pick. Like, right. Or they're going to be a first-round pick on intangibles, but not off of production.
Yeah, and the thing that kept Drew Aller off this list for me, and the biggest issue with Penn State's offense last year was the passing game, particularly the wide receivers. And how much of that can you blame on the wide receivers, and how much of that can you blame on the quarterback? So Landon Tengwall at Behind the Wall, actually now it's actually the Landon Tengwall show, did a really good breakdown of the receivers' separation last year, which was abysmal. So you can, hold that against him. But Drew Aller, if you don't complete a pass to your wide receiver in a college football playoff game, a part of that is on you. I don't care how bad your receivers are. If you can't complete one pass to a wide receiver, that's on you. Period. So that's a little bit of stink that I have from him. And then just watching him play against Ohio State and absolutely crumble is tough. Not that Caleb Klubnik hasn't done that. I've seen him do that against South Carolina. I've seen him do that against Pitt. I've seen him do that against some other teams that you kind of wish he would stand up on the table and just take the game over. But I couldn't in the right mind have Drew Aller on this list. And before I talk about Cade Klubnik, I want to talk about Lenora Sellers. Yes, he's on the rival team, but the guy's a stud. And you talked about why we had to keep a guy like Antonio Williams off the list, or why we could put a guy like Ryan Williams on the list. If Lenora Sellers doesn't have a good year, South Carolina will not be good. You can argue that some of these guys, it won't be that way, but if Lenora Sellers doesn't have a phenomenal year, South Carolina's going to suck. And I think
Nick Harbor runs a 2.240.
Yeah, but and last year as a running first quarterback, he threw for 18 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, 2,500 yards passing, which isn't a lot. But when you look at the receivers that they had last year, they didn't have anybody they could rely on until later in the year with Mazio Bennett stepping up. But what Lenora Sellers does great is run the football. 674 yards rushing, 4 yards per attempt. But what's not on his stat sheet is how many times he would break freaking tackles. If you go to the Clemson game, he's breaking tackles from TJ Parker. He's breaking tackles from Wade Woodaz, Barrett Carter. Peter Woods. He's breaking tackles against guys that have no business falling off of them. So the guy is a gamer. You look at statistics sometimes and you can say this guy's good, this guy's bad. I don't care what the stat sheet says for Lenora Sellers. He's a leader. He's a gamer. Anytime he steps out in the field, anytime 16 is out there, they have a chance to win the game. And, from rival to rival, you have to give respect where it's due. So Lenora Sellers, you are a phenomenal quarterback and was my genuine second overall pick as an All-American. Walk On Redshirts All-American. But Cade Klubnik has to be the guy. We talked about this a little bit yesterday with the 3-Tech pod. Cade Klubnik had over 4,000 plus all-purpose yards with 3,900 yards passing and 500 yards rushing, and then over 40 touchdowns. I think he had 39 passing and seven rushing. And he's the only person to do that and not be at least a runner-up in the Heisman race. So do with that what you may. He's a phenomenal quarterback. He can run. He can pass. He's got all the weapons around him. So you want to talk about production. Who's not going to be hurt from having multiple receivers? Cade Klubnik. So I am the ceiling is the roof for Cade Klubnik, as Michael Jordan likes to say. He has a really good chance to solidify himself as one of the greats at Clemson, not the greatest, but one of the greats. And I really hope he does. And it looks like Jake put him in there. So Jake was just trying to bait me into being angry, which it worked very much. So I yelled at my kids because of you, Jake. So just think about that.
They probably deserved it.
They did. But sorry, go ahead. I got a little long-winded.
No, you're good. I think you cleaned it up there on Cade Klubnik pretty well. So just to recap here, for anybody that's not following on YouTube, we've got Cade Klubnik at quarterback. We've got Jeremiah Love and Nick Singleton at running back. Jeremiah Smith, Jordan Tyson, and Ryan Williams at wide receiver. Max Clare at tight end. Spencer Fano, Jake Slaughter, Francis Mayoga out of Miami. Drew Shelton, and Amaj Reed Adams on the offensive line. Defensive line, we've got TJ Parker, Colin Simmons, Peter Woods, Zane Durant. Linebackers, we've got Anthony Hill, Sammy Brown, Jacob Rodriguez. Cornerbacks, we've got Leonard Moore, Jeremiah McCoy, Avian Terrell. Safeties, Caleb Downs, Coy Parrish, Zachy Wheatley. Kicker, John Love. Punter, the Atticus Bertrams. And all-purpose, Desmond Reed. I think that's a pretty solid team.
I like it. We could live with this. It's really weird not seeing this list littered with Ohio State players. I'm not gonna lie, or Alabama players. That is a little weird to me.
Yeah. I'll do a count them, but you got 3 Ohio State players, a couple Texas guys, a couple Penn State guys, a couple Clemson guys, 2 Notre Dame guys. But I do think we did a good job of spreading it out and it's not condensed down to just one, a couple teams.
Well, no, and I think the biggest qualm we're going to have is that there's a lot of Clemson on there. But honestly, if someone's going to argue anywhere, I think it would be the Sammy Brown pick, maybe Avion Terrell. But I think we had pretty good arguments for those guys. I did my best to not be a homer when going through this. I didn't pick Blake Miller on the offensive line, so you can't hold that against me. I didn't put Khalil Barnes at safety, which I really wanted to, so you can't hold that against me. I wanted to put Adam Randall at running back, but I didn't do that, so you can't hold that against me.
Adam Randall was not making it for running back.
Yeah, I was making sure you were listening, Jake. But
Adam Randall was not even in the top 20.
But in all seriousness, I think this is a really good list. I learned a lot about these players. This was a really fun thing to do. Jacob Rodriguez was not a guy that was on my radar. And, when you want to be a college football, talking head, you got to know the ins and outs of just about every single school. So getting to learn about a guy like Jacob Rodriguez, Coy Parrish, Jermod McCoy, like the guys that not a lot of people talk about, Armaj Reed Adams, you're going to get your offensive line takes here. Atticus Bertrams, the Atticus Bertrams. So, where are you also going to go? And the McCracken's finest, John Love. Shout out John Love. Hope you're doing great, buddy. Keep booming the ball. Just keep booming the ball. I
wanted to say real quick, because the Doak Walker watch list had 103 guys. I don't think Adam Randall made that list,
which is rigged.
So if you didn't make one of the 103 guys on the watch list, I'm sorry, you did not make our potential contender. Well, Before we get out of here, want to thank everybody for listening. If you like the show, we're giving away stickers, certified Walk On Redshirts 5-star listener. Go rate the podcast, leave us a review. You can leave us a review on Apple. You can leave us comments on YouTube. If you just send me a screenshot that you rated the podcast on Spotify, I'll also send you one as well. I have a ton of these stickers. We'll send them out. I'm not going to charge anybody to send them out. By all means, just say you did it, send me your address, and I will mail you out a sticker.
Yeah, if you're a walk-on listener, you've paid for enough. Trust me.
You have. You listen to us.
You haven't paid enough for our Kansas State trip. So please donate.
Keep helping us with that one.
For the love of
Keep
God,
helping us with that one. So with that being said, appreciate listening to the podcast. We'll be back again next week. Next week is game week, though. Next week is game week.
We'll be talking that, Jake, don't do this to me. I don't know if my heart can handle it. Next week is game week. We might have someone else joining us next week to talk a little ball. Potentially. We don't know yet. We'll see. There's some fun things happening over in Walk On Redshirts lands. Is there not, Jake?
There's a ton of stuff happening.
We're having fun. We're meeting a lot of new people. A lot of new people are joining the ship. Guys, just
download Squad Blitz before I forget.
Yes.
Go download Squad Blitz.
Download it twice. Put us on there twice. Make another account.
Absolutely. With that being said, we'll see everybody again next week for game week.